Good afternoon. It is Sunday, March 28th. We're going to take a look at the weekly charts, and then we're going to get into a few stocks, and then we're going to take a look at your guys' stocks and see if we can help out any kind of technical analysis, see if you guys have any questions for us, maybe go over some trades that we took, go over some trades that we are looking to take under the right circumstances, all of this coming up. This is Patrick, and you're trading with Prime. Okay, let's look at the weekly time frame. While people kind of funnel in here, we'll just go ahead and look across the market and see what we can find. What is jumping out at us? What is the first couple things that we notice? Looking at the IWM, we'll start here, and then we'll just kind of shift our way around the markets. What I first noticed is that, the market is still bullish. I'm eventually looking for a pullback to the 180, 182, 183 area. I don't know when that will be, and I honestly at this point don't know if that will actually happen. Maybe one day eventually we'll be back down here. As of right now, what we see is we see this up move, and then we see this multiple week / turning into multiple month consolidation, and it continues to be bullish consolidation until the market proves us otherwise. What we saw this past week is we should have broke down through back into the wedge and below the wedge based on price action. But what happened was we went back down to back test this 206 area, whatever area this was, 207 area. And since then closed back above this breakup candle. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So here, this candle right here is the flag pattern that we're kind of talking about. Overall, this whole pattern is flagging as far as bullish, but we already tested this area once back here a few weeks ago, and now we went down and back tested it again. So right now the market is at a weird place as far as the IWM is concerned. It's in a weird place as far as what direction we're going to go from here. I'm not really looking for a trade one way or the other, but of course if one presents itself, I will be glad to take it. Let's take a look at the SPY. And let me fix this here. Okay. I mean, YouTube does the normal lagging. Maybe it's catching up here. So SPY, we actually had the SPY finished the week off with a pretty bullish week based on Friday's close. It put in an all-time record high for closing price for the weekly time frame. And that's important. That really shows us what this next week can bring as far as bullish or bearish. I would be leaning more towards the bullish side, although I'm open to any scenario playing out. I just want to be positioned the right side of the market. I don't want to be killed too bad one way or the other. So we'll look at the SPY on an intraday time frame or a daily chart time frame. And you can see here, we didn't put in an all-time closing high on the daily, but we are looking pretty bullish as far as Thursday going into Friday. It just looks like we went down, we back tested this prior consolidation area. This is the consolidation area, which was also the old highs. We went down and back tested that, and it found support, rallied up above, back above 394.17. And above 394.17 is bullish. Below 394.17 is more neutral. I wouldn't necessarily that it's 100% bearish, depending on what kind of candles that we get. If we get some sort of island top in here and then it sells off, I would say that would be more bearish if we close below 394.17. But as long as we stay above that, technically speaking, there's nothing wrong with the market. How's it going, Carl? Yeah, I mean, SPY 400. At this point, I think it could definitely be, maybe this was the little fake out these last few days by themselves. Maybe it was the fake out. Maybe we'll have higher prices. Maybe back above 400. If we get too far above 400, we can try to begin doing price targets. I could do a measured move from down here. Let me put on we could do a measured move and say that 25 bucks. And I know it's not around that, but market symmetry anyway, we could say 25 bucks is around 409, 410. That could be in the cards. We'll see as far as the SPY goes. We'll know intra-week, that's for sure. As far as the QQQ, this is the one index that kind of makes you wonder what's really going on underneath the hood. It doesn't look totally concerning. It looks like it's getting pinched in here. It's getting ready to make a move one way or the other. The coolest thing about this trade setup is that we don't have to actually get into the trade yet. We can just kind of wait for price action to show us what it's doing, and then we can get involved. So what I'm looking at with the Qs in particular, and instead of using the Qs, let's go to the NDX, because we might get a little bit different of a chart on the NDX based on this last week. So just looking at the NDX, I noticed that we have this downtrend in here. The problem that I have with these downtrends is that we could have drawn one. In fact, we did draw one down here when it was taking place. I think we also drew one somewhere in here when it was taking place. That's the problem that I have with trend lines. But as far as horizontal support and resistance goes, this is more what I would like to do. I would like to put it across going horizontal and say above this is bullish, below it is neutral. Let's just wait for the price to do something like this. And if we can get above that area in the next week or two, and then I would be looking to possibly take a long trade. Until that happens, I'm going to just sit back and kind of pay attention to the market. Let's look at the transports, and then we'll get into some charts here. Transports all-time highs, not much that we can do with that other than if you're in the trade, continue riding it higher. I mean, I don't know what else to say. XLF, I wanted XLF on the watch list. We had a short trade in XLF, and I wanted to break down exactly what it is that we were looking at during the short trade. And I'm just going to pull up the hourly chart really quick for you guys and kind of show you what we were looking at. I'm looking at $34.62 as a stop loss. I know that'd be really painful between Friday's close and getting above that area. But technically speaking, on this chart, what I'm going for is this $34.62. The short trade comes in on the short trade comes in with the weekly chart and the daily chart. We had a reversal candle up here at the highs of 35.29 and broke down from those highs. So this would be my stop loss area. If it does begin to roll over and continues down to the downside, I'll then be giving out price targets. We're in an active trade, so I'll be doing that in the group, not on YouTube. Let me see if I can run through the comments really quick. With futures movement Friday, when everything SPY, I'm thinking it. Yeah, that's a good point. And this is the thing with trading is I don't even know what Friday's deal was, as far as I was in a lot of long trades, closed them out. We came into Thursday short. We went out of Thursday long, coming into Friday long, but midday going short. And not that I like taking short trades or any kind of trade right before a closing price on Friday, but the movement in itself, the volume, the movement in itself, I wouldn't be surprised one way or the other if we are setting up for some sort of bull trap. Maybe not. We'll have to follow price action to see what actually happens, but anything is possible. Let's go pull up the watch list. So first one I'm gonna run through is I'm gonna lay out a few charts for you guys, and then these are kind of what I'm looking at. I'm gonna lay out a couple of charts that a few people asked me about as far as price targets / stop losses. So we're going to go into that. First one we're looking at is Dash. I'm looking for a trade setup in Dash. I'm going to go to the daily chart. And as far as the overall market being bullish, I like this setup. I think that it would definitely help this name if the overall market was bullish. Like, let's say we do go into the week a lot more bullish. I like these because they're very clean. You see a lot of area in here where price is just bouncing, pinballing back and forth. So I'm looking for a breakout. I'm not looking to enter this trade premature. I'm not looking to buy the dip. I'm not looking to buy a pullback. I'm looking simply just for a breakout back test resumption. And once we can get that, then we can start measuring, depending on where on here it breaks out, then we can actually measure to where we think it's going to flow to. So that will be in the Ride the Bull trade alerts when we take that trade. Let's look at Oracle. Oracle we entered, and I'm not going to totally go through all of the trades this last week. I just want to break down 3 of the trades that people had questions about. So Oracle was more about the drop. It was consolidating in a bearish fashion after the drop, and then now we have a breakout to the upside. The way that I was really looking at this, though, if I put it on the weekly time frame, you can kind of see it a little bit more clear. You have a little bit of dark cloud cover up here as far as this bearish candle up in this area, and this, to me, this prior week or this last week, what I was looking at was a dead cat bounce and then for a possible rollover. So I'm playing the daily chart on this one. As far as this breaking down, I'm playing a retracement off the breakdown. Technically speaking, if I go down to the hourly time frame and I do this, I'll zoom in for you guys so you can kind of see what I was looking at and a good area to go ahead and take a stop loss. So what I first noticed on this is I noticed this pattern back here, this prior consolidation. It happens to be at a 61.8 retracement. So what I'm looking for is I'm not necessarily looking for a gap fill, although if that did happen, that would possibly be setting up for another good short opportunity. Or if you were long in this trade and you have been long, you can look for price to try to get a gap fill out of it. But what I'm looking for is the 61.8, which we're coming into right now around $70.46. I'm willing to bet that price isn't just going to rocket right through this consolidation area without some sort of pullback. That pullback I'm looking for could be all the way as low as 68.56. To me, that is worth the swing trade short. But if it gets above 71.82 and you're in that trade, I would consider stopping out of that trade. Next one is BAC. BAC, the same exact principles I just talked about with Oracle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the intraday hourly chart. So I'm the same thing, of course, but this reversal candle is this one right here. What I'm looking at is lower high. So here's a high, here's a lower high. I'm looking for this to be a third lower high. I understand that all these could be lower highs, but that's if you zoom out to the daily and to the weekly, you'll kind of notice this. So what I'm short against is this candle right here. So I'm looking for price to stay below that area, not to mention the overall, which is 38.95 roughly. So price gets above 38.95, take that stop. Price targets down here around 37.72. And the thing with this one is that we do have this retracement candle. It doesn't mean that price can't continue on higher. And I understand that we do have a low down here and we possibly have higher lows on the hourly chart. It is 100% possible that we take out this candle. I'm just saying, as far as risk versus reward goes, I believe that 39.97 is a high until it's not. So that's BAC. Let's go to XLF, and this was the last of the trades that I had questions about, so we'll do the XLF one. Same scenario as BAC, and you can kind of trade it almost the same. We have a gap fill around 34.62. The same kind of thing. I'm looking for this being the drop. Now we're retracing that drop, and I'm looking for a rollover. It'd almost be like a 1, 2, 3. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm positioned for that if it happens, but I'm going to take the stop loss above 34.62. And the same thing, I'm targeting this area down here around 33.79 roughly. We'll see what happens. If we do become profitable in that trade, I'm looking to close out half the position and then continue it on lower. Here's that reversal candle I was talking about on the daily chart. This is a reversal candle. It's not on totally heavy volume, but it's enough volume to where I'm willing to bet that the XLF is not just going to print new highs, although we do have a prior consolidation in here as well. So I'm willing to bet that XLF is not going to go from this area down here, 33.12, and then shoot right through this consolidation and the reversal candle at the highs. Although it can, I'm just positioned as if it wouldn't. Oops, what did I do? I broke something here. Get your cup of coffee. Let's get ready to roll. I'm going to look at two more, and then we're going to get into charts you guys want to take a look at. I'm looking for a decent trade setup if the market becomes extremely, well, it doesn't have to become extremely bullish, but if it becomes more bullish than bearish, if all the markets start breaking out, I'm looking to take a trade off of something that's a little bit dead lately. And I'm not saying this most recent breakout's dead, but this is quite the consolidation in here. So I would expect a larger move out of not just this thing, but a lot of these tech names. This isn't that large of a move out of this kind of a consolidation. So what I'm looking for is a back test right now. We'll let it back test and see if this back test holds. If it does hold on horizontal and downtrending angled support and resumes back off of here, I'm willing to take a long trade out of this, targeting the 304 all-time, well, I don't know if it's all-time highs. I believe it is, but 304.67. Let's look at Apple. And I'll show you guys what I mean about these downtrends. Sometimes you can't really take them because you'll think that it's a downtrend. And by the way, since we're talking about this, something I want to show you guys on this chart. We see this in Tesla all the time too, where you'll see like this consolidation in here in the wedge bullish consolidation after a up move. And we don't need to be in this trade ahead of time. We can just wait for it to break out. And here's a prime example of that. In Apple, you have the breakout, and then it just kind of rides this back test, and then it finally takes off. Same scenario right here. You have the same kind of pattern right here where we don't need to get in. We could actually wait for the breakout and then go with whatever vehicle you guys like to use, option stocks. And then taking that trade, there's enough move out of this consolidation. There's enough of a move to where we can wait for the breakout. So I'm looking for the same thing. There's just one thing on the tech that I want to show you guys, but before I get to that, something I want to show you is we could just draw the trend, right? And we're just let it set up. Technically speaking, I just have to be very clear here. This consolidation is more bearish to me than it is bullish. But I'm actually looking for a bullish trade out of it. But the reason why I'm saying it's bearish is because we had a high of 145. We broke down, consolidated, broke down, and now we've been consolidating in here. Usually consolidation moves result in lower prices. That's one thing I wanted to be a little bit more clear on Apple. And in fact, since we're on that, let's go to Tesla. Tesla, same kind of thing. For those of you guys who've been around a while, I've been pretty bearish on Tesla. I've been pretty hard on Tesla. And the thing with Tesla is, like, I've been saying, even this last video that we put out, we said that we're expecting a bounce here, but then we're expecting it to roll over. And so far it has. It doesn't mean that's going to roll over to our lower price target of 450, which is where I would love to buy it at. It doesn't mean that we're going to get all the way down there. It's not going to go all in one shot. I was actually looking for this bounce to go up to 762. So maybe that'll happen this week, 762. And then I'm looking for 450. And then I'm looking for over $1,000 if you put it on the weekly time frame. But we have to understand where Tesla came from. And if you put it on a monthly chart, like, this thing needs to consolidate, right? There's a lot of time and space in here for consolidation. But I'm looking for another move out of here. I just think that it's going to give us a little bit more of a pullback and then take off to 1,000, something like that, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at, but we'll see how that goes as far as bigger picture perspective. I'll put Tesla on here. I don't know what it's going to do this next week. I'm more interested in longer term for Tesla. And if it gets down to 450, I would love to pick it up. That's all I got for you guys. What do you guys have for, let's try to run through this here. Let's go W. Oh, actually, yeah. I'll get to this, Carl. Let's look at Baidu. I told somebody that we'd cover Baidu before I forget. It's right on my mind. So let's just cover this really quick and then we'll get into the charts here. I like Baidu. The reason why I like it is that it was, when we can see several things in the chart, and I see this prior consolidation area, plus there was this breakout. There's 2 reasons. That was a back test. There's 3, and then it took off from there. This could have been just a back test of this original consolidation area and the breakout and that prior back test. This could be the same kind of scenario. I do notice a head and shoulders in here. There's something else we kind of have to watch out for. I see a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, and it did already break the neckline. Maybe this is a measured move already, though I don't know. So we do have to be mindful of that as far as if we are long in this trade. I do like the volume on on Friday's move. I like that volume. It closed strong on the day. It put in a lot of volume, so maybe the institutions did show up. As far as targets on this, I'd be first targeting 225.24, and it doesn't mean we're going to get there in one day. It might look like it's not going to go there. It might try to fake us out. Pretty bullish as far as a lot of the time frames go. On the 5-minute, I noticed something a little bit different. I know this is a pretty hefty bounce in here, but this could technically be a dead cat bounce. We don't know that it is. It could be one. So what I would have to say is put it on the hourly. Let's see what that's doing. On the hourly time frame, what I would kind of say is that, let me zoom in for you guys so you really see it. So I would just do this. If we're already in this trade, and let's say these were our lows and we bought it down here, just raise your stop loss up a little bit. Just raise it up to break even and then let it play out. Just leave it at break even. Let it do its thing at break even. Once it starts putting in higher highs and higher lows, then consider moving it up to the next pivot, but still targeting your price target that you originally targeted when you first got into the trade. Okay, that's Baidu. That is what I have for you guys. Let's get into yours. WDC. Let's see here. WDC. And by the way, guys, I don't know what happened Friday. I was, like I was saying, I was basically long on Thursday, Friday, and then I went short. And I'm down a little bit I'm down probably about $800 or $700 on SPY, IWM, XLF, BAC. There's a bunch of shorts that I put in. Put my phone in my pocket a half hour later. I pull it out and it's like, I have no idea it rallied into the close, I guess. Rally into the close. So we'll see how that turns out coming into Monday. I'll let you guys know. I'll post it in the loss section. Western Digital. I do like a lot of these names as far as this arena. Same if I go look at AMD and MU, there's a few other ones that I like. But right now, because we're halfway up this breakdown candle, or this break where the market broke down right here, we are here's the last move, and since it finally put in a bottom and it rallied up here. Markets usually like to target halfway up, so we are at that halfway point. If we get above that, I'd be targeting the high of that candle. I would not suspect that Western Digital will just rally right through here as if this area doesn't exist. So well done on catching this. If you are long, would I go long? At this point, no. I would want, now I'm looking for a higher low before I would take a long trade. But if you are in this trade, there's no reason to close it out. I would just see if you can get the highs of that. But I'd be willing to bet that MU or that WDC is not just going to trade right through this prior consolidation. And it actually goes back quite a ways. This is all consolidation technically. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Consider raising your stop loss up. I do like the daily chart. So well done for catching that. This could be a dead cat bounce, so be mindful of that. That maybe there was a lot of rejection in here. This could be a little dead cat bounce before it rolls over. But Friday was a pretty bullish day. In fact, we closed right on the 20-period moving average. So I would be willing to bet that that's not just a dead cat bounce, that there could be something here as far as to the bullish side. BCDA. Oops. What am I doing here? Oh. Wait, what did we say? BCDA. Consolidation. And that's the thing that makes these ones a little bit trickier. You have a really, really wide consolidation in here. I have no idea what these guys do. It's probably maybe biotech or something. Maxim Groups, Japanese pharmaceutical company for catheter. Okay, so with these, what makes this a little bit tricky is that it's in the process of consolidation. So you could there's a few things you can do here. You could buy it at support around 337, which is what some people did already. You could sell it at resistance, but it's already in bullish context as far as this overall move on the daily chart, right? And we do need to be mindful of the weekly chart. And the only reason why is because every time you see a spike up, it does a public offering or whatever the reason is, and it sells off. So we have to kind of watch that. Although I noticed the pattern here is a little bit different than the rest of the patterns as far as these big spike ups like this. I'm noticing that the current pattern is a little bit different. Like maybe it's trying to build some sort of base in here before it continues higher, printing higher prices. Let's zoom back down to the daily. Daily, though, we could draw trends in here if we want. Like, we could draw them like this. I see a lot of people do that. The problem is that it'll sit here and do this for 6 months. And so you could just keep moving the trends. We become trend biased, and we need to watch for that. But as far as price, I do like, let's do this. Let's zoom in a little bit more because there's something I do see. I see this bottom in here. I see a higher low right here. It broke out, so there's going to be a little bit of support in here. So technically speaking, this is a good buying opportunity coming into tomorrow, so long as we hold above 402. Call it $4. Good buying opportunity above $4. Just keep in mind every time we bounce on support, the more likely support's not going to hold. But this context here, overall picture on this last few weeks is bullish more than it is bearish. So I do like this one. NLS. NLS, I would like, personally, it's not for me. I don't like that we're consolidating right on support. It is a prior area of resistance, which is back here. You'll see this area of resistance. The market broke out from there. So there's no reason why this should just be hanging out down here. It should begin to rally soon. It's going to start running out of energy, or people will get less interested in this trade, and so they might not rally this thing out of here because there's not as many people that are interested if the longer that it sits down here. And the longer it sits down here, the more likely, after a down move, the more likely it is to have another down move. So you could look at this like it's a little bit more bullish as far as these last 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Let's go down to a lower time frame. I'm just not convinced. Lower time frame. I would want to see this get going before I got involved. It needs a lot of work to do. Maybe even something like this where we see this price. I've talked about this before, where we see the curl. If we begin to see a curl and then create some sort of higher low and higher high, I'd be a little bit more interested. Yeah, I mean, especially after this. So now I go on the weekly time frame. I see this huge rejection reversal type candle. This was a pretty good indication that we're going to see lower prices. And then see this. I know we're on a different time frame, but this is what this action right here is what I just highlighted on the daily chart. Even though it was down here, I highlighted it. But this is what I mean. See how the price just hangs out in this area? When it's doing that, it's consolidating for lower prices. And now you can see the lower prices. Well, it's doing that again. It's consolidating at support. And that's not what I personally like to see. Trying to see if we can find something else on here. We're below all 3 moving averages. Let's go to the hourly time frame. Yeah, I don't know. Watch, it has a 40% day tomorrow. Oh yeah. WDC just released zip drive for iPhone, or how's it going, Lawrence? Oh, Bowflex, really? I know that's his. Yeah, you know, and maybe part of this too is now that you tell me what the company is, maybe part of this is the run up on. I mean, because here's last April, March. It's a $2 stock, and it ran. I mean, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it ran this high because people are going to be at home, and now what do we see? The economy is opening back up. You know, so I don't know. And I noticed a lot of other names that were kind of like that. Like, let's look at Piton. Just curiosity here. Piton, see how it's transitioning out of these companies that were the stay-at-home companies, which is probably also why we have a lot of like the Qs, right? Like the NASDAQ. You see a little bit of rotation out of them. Although I know this had a lot more to do with yield and stuff, but still, or inflation, but still, it's I think it's more about people are going back into value. What do you got for us, Lawrence? You got anything you want us to check out for you? Yeah, so we'll see what happens this next week. I think that there's a lot of cool names that, like, there's a lot of things that I was eyeing lately, but there's just, I almost feel like letting the market do its thing. Like, a lot of names I wanted to see, like, maybe we could do RKT for Super. Trying to give him something to check out. There's a lot of names that we were following, like even Fubo. Like, I'm not interested anymore. I'm just not interested in that. That's too much of a sell-off for me to even consider. It's just not worth it. I think it's a little bit. I was interested back here on its first bounce, but then it bounced and then rolled over. I'm just not interested. Now, it doesn't mean it won't rally out of this area, but at this point, we're below all 3. There's plenty of time to get involved later on. If I go through some of these names, it's like I see a lot of movement, rotation out of names that we like to trade. DKNG is actually holding up. Clove is terrible. BA's looking good. IDEX is terrible. ACIC is a joke. Like, if I just go through these, MKC we put on the watch list last week and it's doing well, but these names that we were following from the March lows are just not, I'm not excited about. And I don't mean to knock any of those, that if you guys are in those trades or if those are stocks you guys like. I never like to knock people's stocks. I just feel like there's this rotation lately that I don't want to be involved with until I see a little bit more evidence that here's the inflation stocks. Inflation, right? Good to hold during inflation. Dividend stocks. These are great dividends. MO. I mean, these things are doing well anyway, right? Let's go to... I thought there was another one that I had here. Okay, yeah, like Viok. Beast, $100 a share. I forgot to put this on the last week, but phenomenal. I wish I was involved back here. And I don't know what's going on here. I mean, there's probably some bad news, but APOP not looking good. Ride not look. Ride not looking good. It should have held support at 1364. Alpha's doing all right. Pot stocks maybe okay. SSYS, I'm not interested. TLT, I'm backed out of. For those of you guys who are trying to follow us on the TLT trades, I'm looking for a close to 50% retracement, which is a little bit more of a pullback, maybe 135.44 to pick up TLT. And what I mean by 50% retracement, I mean off of this original move. You had this move up here. I'm looking for a pullback and some sort of, it has the room to do it, but I'm looking for a higher low, and I'm still not interested just yet. I do want to get involved, but let's see what happens with TLT. Maybe silver. Rive is looking good. Whoever posted Rive last, I think it was last week possibly, or the week before. So, yeah. FedEx is looking good. Len is looking good. Whoever posted Len, beautiful. AONE is looking good now. I don't know when we talked about this, is probably a little bit higher prices, but MU, same scenario that we saw in the other name that we were looking at, the first name on the one of the first names on the list, where it's trying to retrace back up to this high point up here. So if you're in this trade, I'd be looking for $90.94. Once it breaks halfway up this huge breakdown candle, then we can begin targeting higher prices. Okay, let me go through the comments again. PDD. Oh, we're in a PDD trade, aren't we? Aren't we in this trade? We're long. Thank God. Thank heavens. Not prime. Read the bull. PDD. So this one was a little bit, we got to be careful here, right? Because a few things that I noticed. I know we're in a long trade right now, but this could technically be what's going on right now. We had the breakdown, and now we had the back test, and then it could resume. So we got to be careful of that. Just something I've seen here. We don't want to be stuck in this trade if it does head lower, because it's going to try to fill this gap if it does. It looks like the 200 period moving average held up. We did already hit the high of that breakdown. Here's the breakdown. We went and back tested it. So probably why we pulled back a little bit. If we get above this price area, if we can get above this tomorrow, I think we can let it run. But honestly, I'm not totally interested in that. I think I'm going to close half the position at the open tomorrow. Unless we gap above this area, then I'm holding on a full position. If we can gap above Friday's high, I'm holding on to the full position. If we open up the day below this price area, I'm closing half of it just to book some of the profit and trying to let it ride. This is a pretty serious level right here, right? And we basically came up and basically kissed that level. So I'm worried about this resumption down is what I'm worried about. If it gets above this area, that we can then target the next area, which is just above. I'll give you a price target of 142.31. Above that, maybe one of these gap fills up here around 152.57. And you'll hear from me in the Discord if you are in this trade. I'll let you know when I think this 153.09 would be a perfect area. See, but this was pretty serious consolidation. This right here is a serious area of consolidation. We've already tested that area right here, and we fell through it. So we could go back and back test that area and then roll over, or go back test that area, consolidate sideways, which would be our best case scenario. Let's see what happens. CLX. So CLX on the daily chart, I like this. This is what so this is something I'd be interested in. I mean, there's a reason why Clorox, this might be one of the names that you're talking about as far as a stay at home. It rallied up, sold off, but I actually like this part of it right here. I like this part of it because it found a bottom and put in a higher low, and now it's consolidating in a bullish fashion, which is what I like to see. I don't like that it's below these or stuck in these moving averages, but technically speaking, there might be a target up here around $200. If it does play out, that'd be pretty good market symmetry. BL. BL. What do these guys do? Blackline. So, yeah, another one of these stay at home maybe. pulls back, but we're at support here. The only thing I don't like about this, and so this is where I'm like hesitant in this kind of a trade, is this is the 200 period, prior breakout area and resistance, pullback, breakout, back test, right? And here we are, resistance, pullback. Are we gonna break out and then back test? If I just extend that line like that, that's what worries me about something like this. I don't like that we're consolidating just underneath support or just above support. That, to me, that does not feel good, like a good trade to be in, until we can get above 113.97. Probably another one of the stay at home. QFIN. Oops. QFIN. Okay, so similar story, 720 to $35. Not bad. That's pretty good. 368%. Nice little run up. As far as what's going on right now, we are, technically speaking, we're in bullish consolidation. I know it doesn't feel like it, but this is bullish consolidation. I'm going to give you two sides to this story, though. So from support, rallied away, and now we're consolidating in a bullish fashion. It's a really wide consolidation. You're talking $20 all the way up to $35, bouncing back and forth. But technically speaking, there's nothing wrong if price can stay above this area right here, and that is $21. It could be a good buy at $21 if you keep your stop loss tight just below that 1988, because below 1988, I think it has a ways to fall, maybe even all the way down to 1598. So we're coming into a nice trade, possible trade setup. Let's go back to the daily. I don't see much of a reversal candle. I do see one right here, and I see one right here, and then we see the fall. The fall took out these lows, probably stopped some people out. Further fall. Now we're back testing this area right here, which is this last breakout candle. Because if I drew a line across the screen like this, see, I'll watch you guys can see how I dissect this in real time. So back test this breakout, right? The only thing I don't know about this breakout is it's not on a lot of volume. Is this the volume? You know, not a lot of volume, but it doesn't matter. Who cares about volume? It broke out, right? But how many people are involved in this kind of a breakout? And so now we're back testing that area. So if that area holds just above 20, just around $22, if it holds, we could begin targeting. The first target measure move would be to $28. And then above that, it's hard to say, but I would be somewhere in this area, somewhere around $30. Call it 30 bucks if you're in that trade. OPTT. It's been a while since we traded this one. I used to trade this back in the day. All right, you can see all these little light yellow lines on here. Same scenario, kind of, where, you know, this one, I remember trading this, we were trading this with the shippers. So, you know, we're coming in for this back test again of this pattern right here. And I see this pattern a lot where you'll see it'll fall. Like here's this little thing, it'll fall, and then it'll shoot out of here. But what I prefer to see is I actually want to see the fall, and then I want to take out those lows when it's this close, right? Now, if it fell down here and then rallied up like this and had more time and then came back to the lows, that's a different story. But because we're so close to this like that, if we took those lows out, I'd be more interested in trade, because you could say it's almost 100% retracement if I did one of these. And if it runs up however much percent, it pulls back 100%. And then it usually sometimes can take off. So I'd be looking for that. You can definitely have a stop loss just below Thursday's low. Keep a stop loss down there if you are long in this trade. It looks like Friday was consolidation. We could get the third day breakout above this 301 area. Let me go to intraday, to the hourly. You might come into some resistance, because I know on this chart, we now notice the lower highs, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high. We could do something like this and not take a trade at all until it breaks trend, right? But if you're in this trade, there's a low, there's a higher low. Let's see what happens. Keep a tight stop. VZ. Oh, I think, you know what? So the Qs, so some of the ones I named, and then also Communications, I think across the board we could see a lot more. They've been kind of beat down a little bit more than others. I do like this price action. I noticed this week, and so I'm glad you posted this. This could begin to get parabolic, and what I mean, not parabolic like complete short squeeze, but you could in the next several days here, you could see some higher prices. What does this say? You need to change the video resolution. I don't know why it gets me on that one. So we'll see what happens coming into tomorrow. This could be a fake out, but I don't know. If I saw a back test of 57.27, I'm willing to go long. If I saw a back test of 57.50, I'm willing to go long. Let's say tomorrow we wake up and it's pulling back to this area. I'm willing to go long, especially if we can get a resumption out of there. But we could easily target these upper areas now, right? Where we've cleared all the resistance. This is a lot of consolidation in here. So once we got above that consolidation, we can begin targeting the upper pivots. And what I mean by that is we can begin targeting 58.50, and then we could target 59.50, and then we could target around 61, call it $61. And the other one I saw, I think, was T-Mobile. Not identical to that, but, or AT&T. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was AT&T. Yeah, it was AT&T. Plus, they pay a nice dividend. But so right now it's bullish consolidation. I know you have a lot of tail candles in here, but I all that matters right now is that we're consolidating from this up move in a bullish fashion. I wouldn't so much focus on these tail candles themselves. I don't think they're that relevant as of yet. If you did get a move above that, it would trigger a trade. Keep in mind, we just did run from the lower end of this bull flag to the upper end of the bull flag. So I would be looking for a pullback breakout, possibly back test. I think that wraps it up, guys. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Thank you. Tune in the next video. Tune in next week, and check out the Discord. It is in the link under this, or is in the description underneath the video. Appreciate your guys' time. We'll see you in the next one.